Well, good morning and welcome to Blunston Arena for the Wrest Point TSLW preliminary final. It's Glenorchy up against Clarence, the old arch rivals, to do battle for a spot in the grand final to meet Launceston. I'm Damian Gill, bringing this one live to you on a very sunny morning from over at Blunston Arena, and I'm joined today by Leigh Elder. Morning, Lethal.
Good morning, Gilly. Beautiful day for finals footy, isn't it? Preliminary final, I am expecting a Glenorchy team to advance through to the grand final, especially after their last quarter in the second semi-final. But Clarence do have some stars, so it'll be interesting to see if they can really stand up and put their case forward today.
As you can see, a delightful morning for footy. It doesn't get much better than this, I don't reckon. On the pristine surface of Blunston Arena, it would be a real treat for both teams that are running up today and apply their craft out here. It's a bit of an earlier start than usual, Leigh. Obviously a jam-packed day full of footy action, and we'll be bringing the TSL live a little later on. I'm interested to see how this one plays out, because how it's played out so far this season is the way of the black and white. What do Clarence have to do to get the upper hand?
Well, really, it's the top-end players that really need to stamp their authority on the game. And we saw Mel Wise perform so well a couple of weeks ago, and she needs to play that role. And hopefully we'll see Nicole Bresnahan show her stuff as well. And I think even though she spent some time on the halfback flank last week, I think she needs to expand that run to really give them some drive. And then obviously Jessie Williams will have to put the score on the board as well.
I think that was the trouble when we last saw Clarence out. We'll get to them in more detail, but finding a score was the difficulty. Finding a score in that last quarter last week, as you touched on a little bit for Glenorchy, was relatively easy up against the undefeated Launceston. They were very impressive in the last quarter, albeit the game was virtually done and dusted at that point. Yeah,
it's an amazing scoreline when you look at 5 goals to 4. It was quite incredible, but Launceston really did have control of the game until about three-quarter time. But Glenorchy would have actually left that game with a fair bit of confidence that they can take on Launceston. And the only thing I think will get them in trouble today is after that last quarter, thinking they're primed and ready to give it a red-hot crack and forget about doing the job today.
As the Roos make their way out onto the field, we'll have a look at the Glenorchy side. One late change from the team listed: Shaw out, Allen in. What do you make of the Glenorchy setup? Pretty even across the board?
Look, it is. There's a lot of talent there, and you only have to look at that halfback flank. Tomasa Corey just had the run of the show last week. Quality player. It'll be interesting to see if they actually do put a bit of forward defensive pressure on Tomasa, because she reads the play very well. Doesn't worry too much about her own opponent, just backs herself in, but uses the footy so well. She's a class player. Then, of course, that centre line looks pretty impressive. You've got more Barwicks than you can poke a stick at, but they're all high quality and provide a fair bit of run. Elise Barwick's the one. She's got some real pace and hard at a player as well. And then, of course, that forward line's got a bit of potency power as well, so they can put some score on the board.
And that seems to be the key difference between the sides. We'll have a look at the Clarence lineup, is that forward potency, and just where are Clarence's goals are going to come from is my big question I pose to you, because they were dominant against North Launceston, but they found scoring tough.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the old Robin Peter to pay Paul is their issue, is who do you actually throw up there to try and put some scores on the board. Jess Minifie has got some class, but I won't say that she's going to get 15 to 20 opportunities a game. She's just got to make use of that limited amount of disposal she's going to have. But Procopese is the one for mind. I wouldn't mind seeing her thrown down deep forward and see if she can put a couple through. But as you say, is a very good list there, but at the end of the day, they need to find a way to score more goals, especially against a quality team like the Magpies.
Interested to see McDonald left out, given she kicked 2 of their only 4 goals last time they played Glenorchy. Very interesting selection. There's obviously some method to that madness.
Oh, I'm sure there is, and probably hear some just getting the structure right, whether it's defensive forward pressure or they're really looking to concentrate and get a fair bit more run, being challenged maybe. And that's what we saw last week, is Glenorchy probably surprised me with the amount of run they had, especially second half of the game. And maybe they're just trying to get that balance right where they can actually keep up with the run of Glenorchy.
So you spoke to Clarence's top end. Bresnahan, obviously a North Melbourne, Tasmania kangaroo. Mel Wise was terrific last time out. They both played off half-back. Do we expect to see that occur again?
Look, possibility, but I think they need to get the balance. I'm thinking they need to have one half-back and one half-forward, so you're creating enough attacking opportunities as well. But it did work for them against North Launceston, so you think maybe the coaching team going saying that worked. Let's keep that up and just find some solutions up forward.
So that's the Clarence lineup. They're out onto the field. We are not far from getting things underway as two teams just get prepared. A few people make their way into Blunston Arena. Very interested to see how this encounter played out. Of course, this was the grand final last year, Leigh, and it was a absolute cracker on that day. Hopefully we get a similar game today. But do you think either of these teams have what it takes to knock off Launceston?
Well, I think Glenorchy certainly think they have. There's no doubt that they've got enough quality right around the ground, but whether they actually have the top-end talent that can actually allow Launceston to get across the line is the biggest question. So depth, I think Glenorchy have got it there, but whether they've actually got that sort of top 3 or 4 that can match it with the game breakers like a Bannister or a Chloe Haynes. So that becomes a bit of a challenge for Glenorchy, but I think they're the ones that can actually take it up to Launceston probably more than what Clarence can. And it's more that I think Clarence's depth of top-end talent just isn't there, and I think the quality depth of Launceston will probably expose Clarence there.
So there we have it, the expert thoughts of Leigh Elder in the commentary box. Well, we're up in the sky. Thankfully, it's a reasonably nice day. Last time we were up here, it was very, very cold, Leigh, and Glenorchy will go into a bit of a huddle. Clarence have just come out of theirs. So what's your tip? You're going Glenorchy, I sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just looking at the team list, the depth of talent, their scoring opportunities to be provided through that midfield, and some quality players up in that forward line. I just think they'll put too much on the board. At the end of the day, Clarence have got their opportunity if they can restrict Glenorchy scoring. So it's a challenging day for Clarence, but they'll give it their all.
So as the players make their way to the bench, we are not too far away from getting underway. Glenorchy, as I said, is huddling up. They've had the bragging rights so far this season, but if Clarence could get the upper hand in the finals, well, certainly be something. Grand final, of course, one player already decided with Launceston through last week. We played here as well, so they get a bit of a dress rehearsal on the venue, which is important. So teams make their positions. I'll get you to watch here, Leigh, for any matchups or any quirks. Looks like Bresnahan off half back, and as you forecast, it looks like Wise off potentially half forward. So this week you've come with the answers, Leigh.
Yeah, I don't know if I've come with all the answers, but yeah, no, I'm glad there's a bit of a change of direction there. Just gives them more opportunities to score.
What's the thinking with the Bresnahan? Because it worked for him against North Lonnie. I guess they try and get the drive off half back and get her a preferable matchup.
Absolutely. I just think that they've got to take it to the next level where she's actually providing the run through the wing as well. So really expose the opponent.
Here we go. TSLW prelim underway. It's down off Alome's hands. Coming through with Sullivan. Goes up with a good tackle. Swing to the ground. Spills clear. And is thrust forward for the first time for Clarence. The ball will bounce away. Garlow sets herself. Takes a good grab. Not too happy.
It's hit her in the throat.
Copped a bit of chin music. Kicks centrally. The bouncing ball will be hot to handle. Not hot enough for Bresnahan. Crosses the arc. Kicking towards a target. The target out there was Pearce. flying towards goal. Fisted down. They should mop this up. Glenorchy. It comes away from Jade Williams. Her kick finds an intended target in Barwick. Onto a wing now. It's a bouncing ball for Holly Ryan. She has a bit of real estate to work with. Sockers away. It was read better by Clarence. Should be able to mop up on the far side. No, Nieta Lynch bustles in, wins the footy, kicks inside 50. And all on her own is Elise Barwick with serious acres on her side. Kicks in the direction of Tate Turvey. Flying shot is an ordinary one, but sneaks through for a minor score.
And what we saw early from Bresnahan, she left her opponent and created a forward option. That's exactly what she needs to do today, although almost got exposed on the way back with that extra number in the Glenorchy forward line.
So the kick out for Clarence. Take their full measure, drive long, off hands, it's gathered, and come back. They'll have to defend again, Clarence. A bit of an unnervy little moment there for Westland. Feeds out the side, scampering the ball out now to Elliston. She was caught, got it back to Archer, helps it over the top. Here's Williams, goes inside, Wise all on her own, turns and goes, has Mitchell out. Now Mitchell needs to spot up a kick. The most obvious option there is Johnson, ignores that, goes inboard. It's a bit of a shocker. Corrie helps herself, gets her kick away in the nick of time. Bouncing ball for Ryan, got a job to do. Ryan does well, paddles it to herself, hooks it back the other way. Tate Turvey with some space can just hit up Barwick. Barwick can now just wander on in. She wanders on in, gets a good shepherd and steers it through. I think it only snuck in, but it matters little. Glenorchy on the board.
Yeah, and what we saw there, it was a kick out from the half-back line from Tamasa Corey, heading it into their half-forward line, and there was 3 Clarence players against Holly Ryan, but they all gave her space, and it was just the positioning that was wrong. So Holly Ryan then was able to move it forward and created a scoring opportunity. So it was, the structure from Clarence was right. Their positioning wasn't perfect, though. They could have repelled that attack.
I'll be worried about Elise Barwick already. Too much space. And 2 forward forays as it comes straight out of the middle. The kick for Lynch was very hot to handle. Gathered on the hop. Good hand over the top by Skinner. Not quite for Barwick. Job to do here for Archer. She was caught high, so she'll get a free kick.
And it's interesting to see that Sarah Skinner has started forward. So she was one of the key components that put some score on the board against Launceston. So they're stuck with that process from last quarter in the second semi-final.
Scott dropped one she should have taken, but was good enough to mop up. Now she's got a tackle. Spills out for Glenorchy. Cut off again. It's Westland. The Madeline variety. Fisted on. They're on here, Clarence. It was a very hard kick. It's cut off by Sutcliffe. She goes long. That one couldn't be gathered by Westland. Straight into the face. Socket along now by Proc Peace. Williams eyes it off. Did really well. Just shook off Williams of the opposite team. Poking towards Mitchell. Leading the foot race there was King. And it's going to go the way of Clarence. Good tackle. Mitchell now tries the corridor again. It hasn't been working for them.
No, you don't kick it where Tamasa Corey could be.
Well, she kicked to the corridor. That was a horrible joke. Decent kick, though, over the head of Lynch. Should be mopped up here. Harper inboard. Bresnahan shakes off the would-be tackler. Has serious space to work in. Kicks over the top, looking for Wise out there. Through her fingers. Buttering up was Perry King. Inboard for Corrie. She's being a factor already. Kicking towards Elise Barwick. Paddling to her was Tate Turvey. Elise Barwick now tries to screw the kick back. Able to mop up. Goes inboard. Here we go again is Archer. Does well. Cool head under pressure. Just steers into the arms of Williams, and they can just take a bit of heat out of this, Clarence. She uses her wheels. Gets some space. Kicking towards Mitchell. And reading it better was Perry King. So King now looks into the corridor. Both teams want to take it on. That is a brave kick for Ryan. It just keeps on bouncing. Bresnahan should gather. Farms over the top to Archer. She's had a bit of it. Off for Williams. Williams had to find some space. She went back to do so. On the outside of the boot was Archer. Now spilling the ball is King. Shaking it off and showing some real talent right there was Garlow. King over the top for Pearce, and she just couldn't quite reel it in.
You can't fault Clarence's endeavour. It's just a little bit of polish that is actually missing. There's a couple of opportunities where they had extra numbers wide. They just took too long to get it, and Glenorchy's defence covered the option.
Fantastic start to this contest. There's one in the ruck unconvincingly by Clarence. Breezing on through was Harper trying to gather it. Coming the other way was Glenorchy.
And a
through
Smith.
Brianna Barwick. Good mark by Smith, as you say. Kick inside now from Webster, looking for Lynch. She's shoved out of it. They should be able to mop this up through Elliston Clarence. She's the extra out the back. Goes over the top. Oh, this spells danger. Archer, oh, clean bowls it. Lets in Elise Barwick. Wrestles it to ground. They made a meal of that.
She has a crack, Elise Barwick. Got pace, got aggression. Great little player.
Up it goes again. Lynch in the ruck, has it to herself. She'll try and throw it on the boot. She was caught, maybe holding the ball. Scott tries to break away. She's caught. It'll be a ball up. So up it goes once more. That was a weird old contest. Elise Barwick tried to slap it on the boot. Ran out of time. Gathering well. It's a Clarence ball looking for Johnson. She couldn't quite gather. Mitchell farms it out nicely. Kick over the top. Bouncing ball for Pearce. She's got plenty of space.
Here's an option.
Pearce now on the break. She can kick forward. All around is Westland. Wander on in and kick the easiest of goals. So Clarence cut the margin to just 1 point.
Wow, and that's a score against the run of play as well. That great option there by young Nat. I shouldn't say young anymore. She's been around the scene for a while, but she saw the open forward line and a player and an option there, and put it right in front of her, open, and ran straight into an open goal. Great return for Clarence. 1 point down at this point of the game when they just haven't had much of control of the footy.
They've weathered a bit of a storm here, Clarence, and that was good going from Eliza Westland. Just read the play nicely to get some space out the back, and we're back in the middle again. Sullivan down. Unconvincing clearing effort. Good work from Scott. Over the top. They'll break away now through Proc Piece. She sees something she likes. Couldn't quite gather there. It was Johnson, and she's wrapped up in a good tackle from Perry King.
And good user of the footy Proc Piece. That girl's going to be a star.
The ball goes up again. Sullivan, convincing hit out. Down for the runners. This one's Webster. She couldn't quite get it out. Eventually it does, but it will come back quickly. Wise now with a bit of space and time. Hands over the top to Mitchell. It was very hard bouncing ball to gather, and Corrie negotiates the situation. Steers it out in the direction of Holly Barwick. She couldn't quite gather. Slapping on the boot now is Oates. Corrie again. She's caught. Fantastic tackle, not rewarded. Pearce gathers, swings one goalward. Minor score. Gee, I thought that was holding the ball, Leigh Elder.
Yeah, it was pretty close to it, I reckon. I think Mel Wise there had the opportunity to actually have a snap on goal. I reckon when she's got the footy within 30, 35 metres, she should be taking a shot.
Grace Mitchell there should have been rewarded. So it's 1-1-7 apiece. Score's locked up.
They look dangerous all of a sudden.
They do, Clarence. And I think it has a bit to do with that sort of frantic ball movement. As the one over from Corrie finds Rachel Searley. So Searley, all of a sudden, Glenorchy a bit stagnant. Just pokes towards a wing. Was gathered nicely by Elliston, but then she had a problem. Managed to get the ball away. Kick will eventually come in through Clarence. It's now with Bresnahan, not sure where to go, just pokes it into the pocket. It'll work out well. just took her time there, Bresnahan. Wise doesn't. Goes inboard, sees something she likes and spots up Alomes.
And I think Georgia will need to look for a target here or someone to run off. And I think Procopese might be looking at this option now.
Procopese looking for the little handoff. Getting nothing from Alomes, it must be said. She marches on in, fancies herself, doesn't get any great purchase on it. Williams is there. It hit her. She didn't know it was coming. She'll eventually gather. She's wrapped up, though. Not a lot of space to work in. They squeeze out a kick there and cool the Jets. Glenorchy. They did well to get away with that one. Skinner now looking in the direction of Williams. It's taken off her by Scott. Kick inboard. Oh, nice, stylish stuff. A flying shot. It might work for Clarence.
Wow.
It does. A really good goal. The glare has done me in there. I'm not 100% sure who it was. As we'll watch again, yes, it was Brianna Oates. So a terrific goal from Brianna Oates. Finished off. Showed a real bit of poise there.
Absolutely. Played in New Norfolk's under-17 premiership last year and part of the Devils program. Quality player with absolute pace. Hits everything at 100%.
So 2-1-13 plays 1-1-7. Glenorchy had all the early running. Clarence have hit back nicely.
Bresnahan a little bit slow to get back into position.
Sheesh. Criticism early from you, Leigh Elder. You're a brave man, braver than I. As the ball comes away to Leigh Barwick. Take Turvey now off for Skinner. A driving ball inside 50. Bouncing towards the boundary. Will be seen over by Hardner. Ball to come in again. Via a boundary throw in. Up it goes. Getting in front was Elliston. She powered down. It was a dangerous place to put the footy. It's going to be a boundary throw in again. It's a flying shot off the boot of Smith.
And probably a win for Glenorchy there, keeping it to a boundary throw in.
I think so. Comes in again. Do battle. Goes over the heads of both ruckmen. Most recent scorer in Oates breaks away. Great ball. Finds Williams. It's where they look dangerous, Clarence, when they just take it on. That kick from Williams over the head of Mitchell. She does well to shield the footy. Has an ally, or just couldn't quite gather there. Climbing on top in a good tackle is Lovell. It'll be thrown up. Look at the umpire. Mud all over his back. What's he been doing? Went for a tumble as it goes up again. Contest half by the Rucks. It's off Glenorchy boot forward. Task now for Westland. And she helps it over.
Well, I think Glenorchy would be a little bit surprised on the scoreline, so it'll be interesting to see if they make any moves at quarter time. But for my liking, I think they've had control of the play for long enough. They just haven't got the results for it.
Yeah, Clarence would be very happy with how this one's unfolded to date as Alomes gets it down. Sullivan followed it up. Bresnahan now breaking through. Wins the footy, kicking towards Wise. That connection has worked so far. She couldn't quite gather. She had strong pressure from Corrie, it must be said. Dumped in a tackle by Bresnahan. Corrie there just to mop up. Kicks over the top. And they'll just cool the Jets a touch through Elise Barwick. She can just hit Tate Turvey a little bit of space. It was closed down by the time she went to kick. Kicks deep, looking in the Rattenbury direction. It's gathered with real pace by Clarence. They look to repel, but unfortunately they put it straight in the arms of Tate Turvey.
She always looks dangerous with a footy. Good user. She should be looking to hit up a target here. Be interesting to see if Hannah Smith works hard for it.
Tate Turvey kicks along. Will be gathered by Scott. Squeezes out a hand pass. Good body pressure applied there. It was squeezed out again. They get the kick away, Clarence. Not going too far. There's a bit of breeze through the mics. I'm not sure exactly which way it's favouring at the moment. Wise goes in to win the footy. She might have a bit of a problem now. She does. She's been ping holding the ball. So Gemma Allen, pokey little ball is not great. It's cut off by Scott. She wants to switch it. She does and finds Harper. Harper take on the next kick. It wasn't too bad, but it was cut off there by Williams. So Jade Williams will now bring it back with a little extra GST. She goes long. Oh, the two Clarence players arrive on the scene and collide with each other. Now it's there for Smith. She has Archer on her. There's a bit of a comedy of errors there. The two Clarence players both flew for the footy, and Ryan stayed down. It could have very easily ended in a Glenorchy goal, but didn't. So Ellison goes up. There's Ryan. She eventually gathers. Good tackle by Bresnahan. They sweep it out through Westland. Look in the direction of Williams. A wrestle for the footy. Half back, just steering it along was Westland, the Eliza variety. And Williams does well just to ensure the footy doesn't get too deep.
And you can see that Clarence has sort of moved their number of players into the defensive. They don't want Glenorchy to score here, but they've limited their own opportunities to put another score on the board here, as Glenorchy defenders totally outnumber them in their forward line. Sullivan
in the ruck contest really left the opposing ruck hurting there. Just collided. There's a kick inside 50. And it's taken by Glenorchy. Danger times. This one's Hannah Smith. So you fancy her from here, Leigh?
Yeah, she'll kick this.
So Smith comes on in. 35 out.
She won't kick this.
It just fizzed and then died. Wrong side of the upright. So minus score for Glenorchy. Again, Clarence weather the storm. They'll bring it out from full back. Looking for Wise. That's a beautiful kick. So Wise over the top had the free number in Harper. So where's the next one? Looking for Westland and finds up. It was a good lead and well honoured. Little one over the top to Wise should be easy. Now she has some real estate to work with. Wise now goes for $1 million kick, and it's straight to Daniels.
They actually were playing that really, really well. One kick, wait for space. As soon as they actually took it on, went long, it was a turnover, and they just probably need to keep playing like they just did then. 3-4 links in a row. Wait till you got someone forward and go.
So quarter time here, and the underdogs, Clarence, lead at 2-1-13 to 1-2-8. Terrific first term, and Glenorchy really, they jumped out of the blocks with purpose, and then Clarence, with a bit of a counter punch, hit them hard and have a lead as it stands. Leigh Elder.
Yeah, very impressive effort by Clarence. A bit of a surprise the way the game started, because Glenorchy just seemed all over them, but they got one score on the board, and then all of a sudden they actually started to take control of the game. Although I will say Glenorchy seemed to arrest that in the last 3 or 4 minutes of that quarter, and probably missed some opportunities to put some more score on the board. For Clarence, Mel Wise looks quite impressive on the half forward line. She is a quality player, and her and Bresnahan have worked really well, with one being on the half back and one being on the half forward. I thought Bronte Scott's doing some good in and under work as well. For Glenorchy, they've got plenty of players that can actually lift, but I've been impressed with the pressure from Elise Barwick, and of course, as always, Tomasa Corey keeps on cleaning up in defence. And I think that's one thing Clarence probably should look at, is to ensure that at least someone's close to her or on her, and not let her have so much easy ball.
So they're the thoughts of Leigh Elder at quarter time, as the two teams hear from their respective coaches. We'll have a brief break from commentary and be back with the second term shortly. Stay with us here from Blunston Arena. back with the second term. Clarence quickly out of their huddle. Glenorchy just making their way out now. And as we were off air, Leigh, you're saying you thought the breeze is slightly favouring Clarence in that term, which is probably fair given the way play unfolded.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably a little bit surprised. I see Sarah Skinner going back deep forward. I know she did well against Launceston, but I thought they want to probably take control of their midfield first and foremost. So it'd be interesting to see how they start this quarter, because there's no doubt if they are struggling a little bit there, I think should be moved out of the forward line straight into the middle.
Any matchups to look out for? Any changes? It looks like both teams virtually going as named.
I will say the interesting one is Melwise and Tamasakori. So both clubs are given their players the licence there.
And as the ball squeezed out unconvincingly off the hands of Webster, then it was gathered by Scott and she was caught. So good start for Glenorchy here. It'll be Brianna Barwick's ball. Pokey little one looking for Lynch. Good enough to gather at ground level. Gets a handball out. Back from Barwick again. It's gathered by Garlow. Did terrifically well. Handed it off now. Scott squeezes out a kick for Wise. She has a bit of space on Corrie. Corrie quickly closes it down. Good work from Corrie. Wise gets a kick away though. Looking in the direction of Johnson. She was beaten to it. Good mopping up tackle. It was gathered by Wise again, but I thought she took it over it.
I think she was free kick. I think she was debating whether she wanted it in or out there.
And 50, so Sutcliffe, who gave away the free kick, then returned the ball in an undesirable fashion, deemed the umpire, and now Wise will kick a goal, no question.
Wow.
So that could be very, very costly. As Wise to start the second term perfectly for the Roos, pokes it through. So Clarence extend their advantage.
I think she'll be happy she kept it in now.
Yes, she would be. No question about it. Melwise strikes and Clarence have an 11-point lead as we see the replay. That's just straightforward stuff for a player of Wise's quality.
And Nettie Garlow 2 weeks ago was the same. She just looks dangerous.
She does indeed. She can just nail the kicking. She'll be a mighty fine player as we're back in the middle again. Malone's doing the ruck work. He's down. Almost gathered by Ryan. She opts for the soccer in the direction of Barwick. Pokes in ball. Tate Turvey onto it in a flash. She goes backwards. Finds an option. So they look to repel here, Glenorchy. Kerry King. She just puts in the path of 2 Roos. It slips through the fingers, but Bresnahan there, able to mop up. Finds Alomes. Alomes over the top. Piece out of time. Good tackle. Really good tackle from Sullivan. Just bared down on her and took her out. Hands off now. The kick coming from Barwick. Looking for Lynch. She takes it. Powerful player for a long time. Lynch steers into the path of Skinner down there. Takes it sliding out. And now we'll line up and look to strike back for the Magpies.
I'll back her in.
She was good last week, wasn't she, Leigh? Great
Certainly
overhead mark, Sarah Skinner. She comes in, bit of a staggered approach. Starts out right and stays out right.
Well, I've got the curse going today. Yeah. That's 2 from 2.
You've got to stop backing people in. So from full back now will come Clarence. Bresnahan with the kicking duty. She just tucks it under her arm and look at her go. She gets a little too much on this one. A little too much pepper on the kick. The wind may have had a bit of say in that one. Sullivan now over the top. Over the head of Bresnahan. Gathering was Oates. She's got a problem now. Well, manages to squeeze it out. Umpire is kind to her. Slapping forward was Lynch. Almost for Tate Turvey. They wrestle for the footy at ground level. Prop piece climbing on top. The ball up in a dangerous area.
Idea was right. Execution wasn't perfect from Bresnahan there.
No, it wasn't. It's tapped down. Archer eyeing it off, as is Scott. It was well gathered by Tate Turvey. She'll receive it back through hands, kicking in the direction of Skinner. Sarah Skinner with her second shot on goal inside a minute. The last one, you said it'd go through and didn't look like it at all. What are you saying here, Leigh Elder?
I've got to back myself in, go 3 from 3. I'm going to back this one in.
So Skinner looking dangerous option inside forward 50 for the Magpies. Standing start, very casual, and misses. So costly stuff here for Glenorchy.
Absolutely.
So Bresnahan from full back again. Last time she got a fair going on the wing. She gets good distance on this kick. It keeps on flying straight in the arms of Wise. That was magnificent from Bresnahan. Wise now out onto a wing in the direction of the Loans, and Pearce went over both their heads. Garlow now providing a terrific tackle on Corrie. Awarded umpire. No. Just the ball up. Got a bit carried away there, Leigh. I like the tackle as we go again. Sullivan brings it to the floor. Scott gathers, as she often does. She's caught straight away. No prior, says the umpire. Now gathered by Garlow. Shakes off one, slaps it on the boot. A chaos ball toward 50. Jessie Williams arrives on the scene. Breezes past a couple. Jessie Williams taps it on the ground. Kicking now for Mitchell. Mitchell over her head, almost for Webberley. They've got Ruse all around the footy. Can't gather. They'll keep it locked in though, which is important.
Quality bit of play there. Procopese just paved the way for Jessie Williams with a beautiful block there.
She did indeed. Williams wasn't a bad kick. It's brought down. It was well read by Mitchell, but she just couldn't gather. Squeezing out the kick now is Williams, the Jade variety. Finds Skinner. She just deals with Bresnahan, shakes her off. Over the top, she'll receive back to Skinner. Kicking along in the direction of Barwick. One touch, couldn't quite bring it down. Lynch does. Shakes off a couple. Lynch, she's a strong player. Kicking now in the Smith direction through her fingers. She'll get out of dodge players. Oh, ran into trouble. Tate Turvey, good tackle. Really strong tackle, Tate Turvey. They thought they were off scot-free there, Clarence.
She's a class player, Tate Turvey too, so I wouldn't put this past her. The distance just might be the one little issue, but I reckon she'll have a decent crack at this one.
As we saw on the replay screen, Hardner just thought she was away. And Tate Turvey just popped up. Here she is, Tate Turvey. Kicked every bit of 35, 40 metres. Quickens up the approach, pokes it out to the right, and that's the way every kick from a Glenorchy boot has gone so far in this quarter. They need to start adjusting, Leigh Elder.
They do.
So Bresnahan wastes no time and gives it straight to the opposition. Brianna Barwick over the top to Holly Barwick. Will she look for another Barwick? No, she looks for Lynch, who comes in and gives away a free kick. Bresnahan with a reprieve. Hasn't got a heap offering on, it must be said. Pearce calling for her to go straight down the corridor. That'd be some sort of kick. She kicks in the direction of Garlow, who made a contest of it. Now it's gathered by Holly Barwick. Slaps it on the boot. Lynch. Oh, slipping through her fingers, slapping down. Good tackle by Bresnahan. Picking up, being legged. Free kick. So it'll go the way of the Ruse there.
Brianna Oates, she attacks it well.
She does. She kicked one in the first. It's a floating ball out towards Garlow. Eludes her. Sutcliffe picks it up. Swings the ball back towards 50. Good kick. Good mark. Taken by Tate Turvey. It's a good name, Tate Turvey.
It's a rip.
There's a bit of punch in it, as does that kick. Couldn't quite be gathered by anyone in particular. Slapping on the boot with Scott. Oates now tries to bring it down, just held up in the wing. Gathered by Smith. She finds Barwick. Barwick to last line, and it's cut off by Bresnahan. No, it wasn't Bresnahan, sorry. It was Hardner. We'll get 50 because encroached on the mark. So Hardner, good defensive grab. And she gets the benefit of 50. Where's the kick going? Out onto a wing. Just overshot it. But luckily, that time on her side did Harper. Gathering now is Williams. Back over the top. Well to negotiate that. Harper can find Mitchell. Again, the wing just picks this one up. Pearce picks this ball up. Away she goes, Pearce. Manages to squeeze it out. Wise out the back. Looking to shake off one. Will she run out of time? She's just got it to boot. No, says the umpire. Holding the footy. Just a little too casual, Leigh Elder.
Should have been a goal. So, and there's a Glenorchy player down too.
Glenorchy player down. We'll catch up on that one in a minute as the ball's poked straight to Corrie in the back pocket. Left back pocket here at Blunston Arena. An arm wrestle unfolding. As the ball's poked towards half-back. It's overrun by both players. Ball handed off now. It's with Elliston. Elliston inboard. Really nice kick. Picks up Prockpiece. Wastes no time. Prockpiece to the last line. Looking the Wise direction. Glides by her and through for a minor score. And there's going to be a whistle. I think they're going to hold up play as the injured player gets assessed.
I think the breeze has turned around. Looks like it's actually assisting Clarence as we speak, and probably should have played on and actually taken the shot herself, Prockpiece, rather than kick it to a 50-50 contest. Because as she showed, just popping it up still went past the goal line. So probably should have backed herself in.
Just say, oh, that looks like a nasty injury. That looks like a nasty injury. Not good, Leigh Elder. Trying to pick up exactly who it is. I think it's Mackie Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
And it looked nasty on first review. Ooh.
Was it a hyperextension?
Yeah, it looks that way. Oh, yep. I think that'll be day done. She's a quality player too, Mackie Sutcliffe. Hard to replace. We wish her all the best. It's going to be a stretcher call for, no question. She looks in serious pain. It's a real shame.
Absolutely, and a quality outside player for them, and provides them a fair bit of run. Was important against Launceston last week, so it'll be interesting to see how this impacts the Magpies. Gives them a little break. They might be able to reset themselves and get back in control. Probably requires Skinner to spend a bit more time in the midfield. And maybe that may not be a bad thing for their structure for the time being, but you lose a player of Mackie Sutcliffe's quality, and that's going to hurt no matter what, both today and potentially for next weekend's grand final. So we hope ends up being not as bad as what we're thinking at the moment, and obviously thoughts are with Mackie.
It looked pretty nasty on the replay screen, it must be said. We'll just see what happens here, but it does look like she'll be stretchered off, which is an unfortunate ending. So the score as it sits as we tick towards 13 minutes gone in this quarter. 1-5-11 to 3-2-20 is the score. So the advantage the way of Clarence, and really Glenorchy have been especially wasteful in this quarter.
It's a bit like the Brisbane game last week, where you looked at the scoreboard, but you felt one team probably had a bit more control, but you looked at the scoreboard and the other team was actually in front. They've had more scoring shots, Glenorchy. They just missed most of their opportunities, unfortunately. 1 goal 5 is not good kicking. And of course, Clarence have basically been able to get right in front of the sticks to score theirs. Running in open goals, and of course getting the 50-metre for Mel Wise that put them well and truly in control of the game on the scoreboard.
So Mackie Sutcliffe makes her way off. As we said, a very unfortunate ending. It looked like a nasty injury, and we wish her all the best. That's for sure. Players will come over to her, no doubt. She makes her way off.
Looks like she just gave a wave to her teammates too, so hopefully that means the pain settled down for her.
So we're not too far away from a resumption of play following that Mackie Sutcliffe injury. She does look in a lot of pain, it must be said.
And good to see both clubs helping her out too. That's fantastic to see.
So play will resume, courtesy of a Tomasa Corrie kick out. That's interesting. She's on the bounce straight away. She's brought herself undone just about. Millwire's caught
Mitchell.
her. Arriving is Mitchell. The soccer finds her way through it. Just snuck through. A coat of paint in it. What a bizarre resumption to the game. Just gifting Clarence a goal. I don't know what was going through her head there, Leigh Elder, but a goal to Grace Mitchell, opportunistic finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And total credit to Mel Wise. She was the one that put the pressure on it. I think what was happening with Tomasa was looking what the best option was. And look, generally she's got a fair bit of time, but Mel Wise closed it down, and the pace from Grace Mitchell. It didn't look like she was the closest one to it, but the pace got her there. Oh, my God, that was close.
There's a coat of paint in that.
And she celebrated. She didn't worry about the review. It was just celebration straight away. But no, it was definitely a goal.
She didn't worry about the TSLW arc up here. As Harper has the ball now. She'll kick towards Bresnahan out there. Wise arrives. Climb for a mark. She gave away a free kick. So it'll be a Stanford ball.
Corrie will get this now. No.
Ignores her. Over the top for Elise Barwick. Brought down by Bresnahan. Good tackle applied. There's a gang tackle. Holding the ball.
And you can see it right now. It's the tackling pressure that is getting Clarence to go. Yeah, Bresnahan just claimed it.
Bresnahan claims it.
No.
She was second by a mile. Unbelievable stuff. She kicks it inboard now. It skittles through. That was virtually thrown by Williams. Play unfolds, and then Corrie sits in the hole and takes a good mark.
You do the hard work, and I'll take the glory.
He just chimes in.
Here we go. Here's a big
Cut
chance.
off now by Williams. She looks to use her burst of pace. Shakes off Jade Williams. Now kicking towards Nettie Garlow down there. It was fisted away. Mitchell will be first to it. She can hand it off to Wise. She does. Wise gathers. Wise on the boot. Wise goals. Clarence is storming ahead.
Wow. Well and truly not expected this, but they are up and running. But it's the pressure is the most important thing that we're seeing from Clarence today. Those that we don't expect to put that physical pressure on are doing so. And Mel Wise really started that off. Once you kick a goal with seeing a teammate put that extra pressure, it lifts the whole team, and that's what's happening right now. And they're only one scoring shot in front, so we're talking 7 scoring shots to 6. But the scoreboard's saying they're 21 points up.
It's a big advantage at this point in the game. They'll try and do something about it now. Glenorchy. Barwick gets a kick away, but she was collected by Elliston. She's in a spot of bother, so that'll be a downfield free kick. That might be the opening Glenorchy need. Barwick in a bit of trouble, struggling to get from her haunches. So Sarah Skinner, she's had 2 siders. She should know what the breeze is doing now. Skinner starts it out right again and into the woodwork. So a minor score. She's kicked 3 points in this quarter.
Incredible. And now the same amount of scoring shots. It's quite incredible. Just not taking their opportunities where Clarence are.
They aren't. You're right, as Harper brings it out from full back. You can see the wind on show there. That's a really good mark taken.
Is that Oates?
I think it's Scott.
Oh, it is too. Anna Scott.
It is Scott. She'll look to switch it. An unconvincing kick, but Harper will gather eventually. She looks to shake off Stanford and does. Kicking towards Oates now. She can test well. Brings it to ground. Has no allies. Corrie, magnificent with a spin, but the kick not quite as good. It was cut off. Bronte Scott feeds inboard. Back the other way from Barwick. She's an aggressive player. Wants to win the footy. She's got help from Holly Barwick, and they bring Bresnahan to a halt.
And Brianna Barwick is back up and running. She was just a bit winded with that clash.
Great to see. It's thrown up again. Sullivan, convincing hit out, brings it to ground. Farming out the ball nicely was Hardner. A look to gather out there. Back and winning was Barwick. Off now from Webster. Hard ball to gather. Take Turvey does. Drops it off for Lynch. She's caught in a magnificent tackle. Really good tackle from Eliza Westland.
It does look like Glenorchy lifted their intensity, but they're just not getting the return from it yet.
So a 20-point lead as it stands. Here's Barwick trying to do something about it. Swung a terrific tackle. Not rewarded somehow. Probably should have been holding the ball. Play goes on, continues to unfold. Williams now looks to use her pace off half-back. Really nice kick. Out for Mitchell. Mitchell showing some toe, some dash. Paddles it over. Decent result, I reckon, for Clarence.
Absolutely. 3-1, and she was outnumbered there, so a boundary throw in perfect for Clarence.
So the ball to be thrown in, centre wing broadcast position here at Blunston Arena. Clarence with a 20-point lead. They have not beaten Glenorchy this year. Comes in again. Westland in the ruck, brings it down, out the back and gliding on by. It's cut off by Lynch. Now with Barwick, she's caught. Terrific tackle, gets out of it somehow. Now out for Webster. She couldn't gather. Barwick jumps in again, caught in a good tackle.
It's looking like finals footy now. Both teams going in hard.
Trying to clog it up. Stop the movement, the free-flowing movement. Sullivan had the ruck virtually on her own. Gathering now is Barwick. Siren sounds. Half-time at Blunston Arena. And the Roos have skipped out to a 20-point lead, with thanks mainly to Mel Wise, who kicked 2 in that term and set up another. As we see the highlights, she kicked that one virtually from the goal line. She probably could have had 3, should have had 3. But at the same time, much can be said down the other end. Glenorchy were wasteful in front of the sticks, and Clarence good enough to make them pay, and they now hold a really strong position in this game for a spot in next week's grand final, Leigh Elder.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, an impressive quarter of footy by Clarence. And I'm not suggesting that the Glenorchys aren't still in this game. They're just not using those opportunities. And obviously they'll be a little bit downbeat with obviously the injury to Mackie Sutcliffe as well. But for the quarter, Jessie Williams looks very dangerous in creating some forward options there. Bresnahan continues to play well, except for when she takes kicks off a teammate, when she's not doing the hard work. Amy Procopiece, I think she needs to get a little bit more of the footy, but she uses it so well. She's been impressive. Bronte Scott's doing the hard yards. And, of course, Mel Wise, as she was 2 weeks ago, is definitely one of their best players today. Tate Turvey for Glenorchy just looks dangerous. Again, hasn't put it on the scoreboard, but she looks one of those the most likely. Brianna Barwick certainly putting some grunt in there. And, of course, Tomasakori in the defensive line. They'll probably want to look at how they can utilise Sarah Skinner better. She is a quality player and is not getting a lot of it. We know she's had, I think, 3 shots.
3 behind.
Yeah, on goal, but hasn't converted. So maybe they need to find a way to get her to have a greater influence on the game. She is a quality player. But Clarence, they'll be pretty happy going in at half-time with this lead.
Absolutely. There you have it at half-time. 7 scoring shots apiece, but a 20-point lead to the Clarence Roos. They were big underdogs coming into today's encounter, but they hold one hand on a spot in the grand final. What can Glenorchy do in the second half? Stay with us. We'll have all the action. We'll have a brief break from commentary now here at Blunston Arena. Good mopping up tackle is gathered by Wise again, but I thought she took it over it.
I think she was
free kick.
I think she was debating whether she wanted it in or out there.
And 50, so Sutcliffe, who gave away the free to start the second term perfectly for the Roos, pokes it through. So Clarence extend their advantage.
I think she'll be happy she kept it in now.
Yes, she would be. No question about it. Slips through the fingers, but Bresnahan there, able to mop up. Finds Alomes. Alomes over the top. Piece out of time. Good tackle. Really good. Barwick looking for Lynch. She takes it. Powerful player for a long time. Lynch steers into the path of Skinner down there. Takes it sliding out. Take Turvey. She'll receive it back through hands. Kicking in the direction of Skinner. Sarah Skinner with her second shot on goal inside a minute. She got a fair going on the wing. She gets good distance on this kick. It keeps on flying straight in the arms of Wise. That was magnificent from Bresnahan. Went over both their heads. Garlow now providing a terrific tackle on Corrie. Awarded umpire. No. Couple Lynch, she's a strong player. Kicking now in the Smith direction through her fingers. Should get out of dodge bones. Oh, ran into trouble. Take Turvey. Good tackle. Kick every bit of 35, 40 metres. Quickens up the approach. Pokes it out to the right. And that's the way every kick from a Glenorchy boot. Now it's gathered by Holly Barwick. Slaps it on the boot. Lynch. Oh, slipping through her fingers. Slapping down. Good tackle by Bresnahan. Picking up, being legged, free kick. This ball up, away she goes. Pearce manages to squeeze it out. Wise out the back, looking to shake off one. Will she run out of time? She's just got it to boot. No, says the umpire. Holding the footy. Piece to the last line, looking the Wise direction. Glides by her and through for a minor score. And there's going to be a whistle. I think they're going to hold up. Kick out. That's interesting. She's on the bounce straight away. She's brought herself undone just about. Millwise caught
Mitchell.
Arriving is Mitchell. The soccer finds her way through it. Just snuck through. A coat of paint in it. What a bizarre. It's fisted away. Mitchell will be first to it. She can hand it off to Wise. She does. Wise gathers. Wise on the boot. Wise goals. Clarence is storming ahead.
Wow. The scoreboard saying they're 21 points up.
It's a big advantage at this point in the game. They'll try and do something about it now. Glenorchy. Barwick gets a kick away, but she was collected by Elliston. You're right, as Harper brings it out from full back. You can see the wind on show there. That's a really good mark taken.
Is that Oates?
I think it's Scott.
Oh, it is too. Anna Scott.
It is Scott.
They're just not getting the return from it yet.
So a 20-point lead as it stands. Here's Barwick trying to do something about it. Swung in a terrific tackle. Not rewarded some. So back for the second half here from a sun-drenched Blunston Arena. It's a 20-point lead as it stands to the Clarence Roos. Glenorchy with all the work to do in the second half, Leigh Elder.
Yeah, certainly have. I've got this sort of funny feeling that we're going to be within one kick at the end of the game. I just can't read which way it's going to go. The intensity from Clarence is what's got him here. It's that tackling pressure, and it seems to be right across the board. A little bit of luck, but a little bit of hard work as well has put him 20 points in front at half time. So I'm expecting Glenorchy, who are a quality outfit, to come back from here. It's more the missed opportunities rather than them being outplayed that's put the margin so big at half time, and a surprising margin at half time, to be honest. But Clarence backs will be up. They'll be thinking, we keep this pressure up, that we've got a chance to get through to the grand final here. So there's no doubt that they'll keep working hard, but I think there's enough quality in Glenorchy to put them back in the game. But just if they keep missing their opportunities here, unfortunately the grand final might go begging for them. But I'm predicting that they come back, and I think it's going to be a very close finish.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? The scoring shots are dead level, 7 apiece, and a lot of those are very gettable.
Absolutely.
Sarah Skinner probably had 3 that on another day she buries.
Yep.
So it's still there for them, I think, Glenorchy. I do agree with you there. Clarence have been mighty impressive, though. Their pressure around the footy. They've shown composure at stages in terms of just taking on those simple sort of kick marks and not panicking and taking the heat out of the game at different points. And I've been very, very impressed with what Clarence have brought to the table.
Absolutely. We just saw that wonderful goal set up by Mel Wise before, where Grace went and kicked it off the ground. Now, they're the type of things that have happened for Clarence but just haven't come together for Glenorchy. So it's been a bit of that luck. You do create your own luck, of course. But I think 4 of the goals have been right in front of the sticks, where Glenorchy's chances have been taking shots from a bit of a distance. Jasmine Tate-Turvey had her opportunities as well, and they've just been a bit wide. Now, whether it's been too much of an angle, or not reading the wind well, they just haven't taken those, where Clarence, all their options and opportunities have been from within 15 metres of goal. So that's where you're more likely to kick goals too. So it's been a bit of smart play, a bit of luck. But of course, the most important thing for Clarence, it's been their pressure. And you're seeing a lot of tackling efforts from people you're probably not expecting to put that physical pressure on. So obviously the coach has got them right and revved up. But I'm thinking that the quality and the run from Glenorchy will come to the fore in the second half, and they'll come back at them. It's just whether they can come back from this margin.
So Mackie Sutcliffe, of course, what we think is a reasonably serious injury in that second quarter, which did take a fair bit out of the clock. It was a shorter quarter in terms of game time because it took some time for her to be stretchered off. We wish her all the very best. We haven't seen much from Nat Daniels today, but she's playing game 100, I'm led to believe, for Glenorchy, so good accolade for her. As the players take position and get ready. The third stanza here, the second half of footy. Glenorchy v Clarence. Glenorchy with a real job to do to get themselves back in the game. First goal is crucial. Umpire holds the ball aloft.
Skinner in the midfield.
Seen the change already. Sullivan paddles straight down. The runners burst away. Prockpiece first to it for Clarence. Sockering. Scott in there trying to wrestle the footy out. They climb on top and force a repeat stoppage, this time in between the square and the forward 50 for Glenorchy. Sullivan again brings it down. Couldn't quite. Barwick almost gathering was Allison. She eventually does. Squeezes out a kick. Williams will run out of tarmac.
Holly Ryan's been pushed to full forward. She can take a strong mark and a beautiful kick with a soccer background. So I think she might provide him a really good option to goal.
So the ball to be thrown in again. In it comes Sullivan and Loam. Sullivan down. Coming through is Elise Barwick. Farms out a handball. Unconvincing. Scott lost the footy. She looked to burst away. Gets it again. She'll get a free kick. She's clipped high. She didn't know she had the free kick. She'll eventually take a kick. So free option out there. She pokes to it and finds it. It's Harper. So Harper looking in the Williams direction. Gee, she's got some toe, Williams. Close that one down with ease. The next kick is a tricky one. She does well to find Bresnahan. So Bresnahan on the wing. If Clarence can get a first score, it'll go a long way to them winning this ball game. She kicks towards Wise, who had to fly from 3 deep and couldn't take the mark.
That's their main target, and always look for Wise when you go forward.
The kick was a bit of a risky one into the middle. It was almost gathered by Garlow, gathered by Scott. Bouncing ball towards Mitchell. She has Corrie to contend with. Breezes past her. Interesting handball into the centre. Not entirely sure it was legal. Good follow-up tackle. Got to be rewarded. The umpire lets it go, as he's been doing all day. Barwick off now on a long kick onto the wing, looking the Skinner direction. She did well. Gets by a couple. Caught now. Good target from... good tackle rather from Garlow. She wins the footy and goes with it. Kicks towards 50, cut off by Elise Barwick. It's a frantic start to this quarter. Elise Barwick. It's 50. So Pearce overstepped the mark. So now Barwick gets the advantage of 50, and this could be crucial. Barwick
needs to go to Lynch.
Short of Lynch and her namesake. Gathering was Archer. She's got a problem now. Manages to get the kick away. It's gathered well now by Harper. Off to Bresnahan. Bresnahan, measured ball. Slipping through the fingers of Madeline Westland. And out it goes. So it'll be thrown in.
Just all about minutes for Clarence, isn't it? Stop them scoring, keep that lead for as long as we possibly can. If we can get one on the scoreboard, that'll put even more pressure on Glenorchy.
Right, all about killing time as they climb on top and look for a repeat stoppage. It's helpful for Clarence as we're into the third term, 3 minutes old, this one. Up it goes again. Sullivan has had the better of the ruck duel, brings it down to the floor for the runners. Namely Bresnahan, who comes away with a burst of pace. Kicking inside forward 50. It was a good kick, almost gathered through Lovell. Lovell gets it out. Pearce now. She can run onto it, Pearce. She goes to Soccer. Clever stuff. Eventually will bring it under a spell. Pearce.
Oh, no.
What a goal. So Clarence draw first blood in the second half and open up a 26-point lead.
They can do no wrong. That is just incredible. Kicking goals like that on a day like this is just quite remarkable. What a way to get into a grand final. But the using their opportunities, that's what it's all about here. There was a good forward opportunity for Glenorchy. Unfortunately repelled for them by probably a poor kick, but also good work by the defence coming in numbers for Clarence. But every time they seem to get an opportunity, they make it work for them.
Being very efficient inside forward 50. Scott now in the middle. Barwick picks it up and finds her namesake, Elise. Elise now looks to drop it off for Tate Turvey. Breezing through was Holly Barwick. Gets a kick away. Really nice footy, but it was a perfect timed tackle from Garlow that brought them unstuck almost for Elise Barwick. Good body position. Here's Brianna Barwick kicking towards Daniels. Won't get to her. Picked up there by Archer, who takes the sanctuary of the boundary line.
Just protected the ball well then.
Now, if you are just joining us on the TSLW live stream, Clarence were heavy underdogs coming into today's game. They have not beaten them this year, albeit there have been a couple of close tussles as this one squeezed out. The swinging kick by Harper was gathered by Glenorchy. Spills out though. Here's Williams. Look at the toe of Williams. Takes a bounce. Williams gets a good shepherd. Breezes past Stanford. Williams towards 50 now. The target is Wise. Oh, she just couldn't quite gather. They'll squeeze out a handball. Glenorchy through Searley. It's still there though for Clarence. Gathering this time is Williams. Swings it towards 50. Bouncing ball. Sits up. Westland arrives, as does Elise Barwick. There might have been a free kick in that. She left a piece on her opponent. The kick will come away from Lovell towards 50, but it's cut off again. It's Scott. So Scott, a little pokey ball over the top. And this is this calmness I was speaking about. Just able to take a bit of heat out of the game at times, Clarence. Now looking for Pearce. She just missed on to run a little bit. And Skinner takes a defensive grab. And Skinner out of 50. That's a terrific kick. Ryan dropped one she should have taken. Has an ally out the back. But Garlow's tackle pressure today has been outstanding.
Well done. That was Glenorchy's ball. Two of them working together, but the pressure from Oates and Garlow was just superb.
So up again, Westland loses a ruck hit out, but it landed in Oates' arms. She spilt it, then went to Ryan. Ryan over the top for Rattenbury. She just bustled off it by Archer. Archer's the back, gets by a couple, kicking towards Garlow. Doesn't quite get to her. Barwick slaps it on the boot, and it trickles out. This is an exciting game.
There's a free kick here for Clarence.
So a bit of ill discipline after the ball went out, I think, or it might have been Clarence ball, but Archer will steer in ball. Or should have taken that one, Johnson.
Oh, well.
As an ally, though, drops it off. Hardner couldn't gather. Took her about 4 cracks. Eventually spills clear. Here's Scott, the extractor. Gets it out to Bresnahan. Outside of the boot, finds Westland. Not sure she disposed of that legally. The umpire disagrees, lets it roll on. Elise Barwick almost. Good tackle from Garlow, as you said. Scott caught in a tackle. He rewards this one, the umpire. Sullivan will have it. They've let a lot go today, Leigh. I haven't minded it, must be said. Here's Barwick now. Long raking ball, a bouncing ball out there for Webster. Webster has the quick, speedy Jessie Williams to contend with, and it's an awkward place to be in. She soccers out. Elise Barwick now. Handballs to her own advantage. She's bustled into illegally, says the umpire.
Probably a bit lucky there. That hand pass wasn't going to help her team unless she got the free kick.
Chaos ball in the middle works out for Glenorchy. Long raking boot from Sarah Skinner. Gathers some steam, bouncing towards goal, wrong side of the post. A minor score, so they cut the margin by just one behind.
That ball carried a long way. Does that mean the breeze is going to that side? And if it is, that's not good news for Glenorchy.
No, it's not good news at all. As Bresnahan takes her full allotment, kicks long towards the arc. It holds up a touch. Skinner couldn't quite complete the grab. Garlow contending out there, doing well against Barwick. Bustles her off it. Garlow then tackle without it. Tate Turvey wins it. Kicks it back towards attacking 50 for the Magpies. Arriving was Bresnahan. It came off Skinner's boot. And Bresnahan
wanted the last touch rule, and that's what the previous free kick would have been. Yeah,
I'm not sure you could call that one last touch.
She still wanted to claim it.
Wanted to claim it.
She wants those easy kicks today.
Cheapies as the ball comes in. Sullivan straight in her arms. Manages to get a kick away. Ryan soccers up. Bouncing towards the boundary. Gathered by Skinner. Out now for Tate Turvey. Kicking toward a target. Almost gathered. They should negotiate this. Good tackle. Bearing down was Lynch. Really strong tackle.
I'm seeing signs of Sarah Skinner starting to get involved in this game, and they'll be very important for their opportunities.
So Lynch in the ruck up against Alliston. Just paddled towards the boundary. Kept alive by Ryan. She's kicked that clean out in the full. So it'll be a Clarence ball. Bresnahan was trying to somehow make it hers.
Unbelievable.
Bit of me. So the ball to come back in from Archer. Just chipping over the top, looking for Oates. Slips through her fingers. Dives on the footy. She's caught in a really strong tackle applied by Hannah Smith. So 1-7-13 plays 6-2-38. Deep in the third quarter here at Blunston Arena. Off hands of Westland, gathered by Barwick, screws it back. Hot footy to handle, good enough with a Roos. The last line through Archer. Kick will come away towards half back. Holds up in the wind again. The wind is definitely at the advantage of Glenorchy in this quarter. They need to put it on the board, given that Leigh Elder as Skinner goes back in board. The teammates weren't aware that was the option. It's going to be a Clarence free kick. I'm not entirely sure what for. Maybe held without it, but it's Jessie Williams' ball. She always takes a couple of yards without anyone noticing. Kicks it towards Mitchell, tries to paddle it to herself, and again sees it over.
The scoreboard pressure will start mounting, so Glenorchy will start actually feeling that pressure and rushing their moves forward. So they just need to be mindful. One or two players need to settle it down, just be smart with the footy.
Well, it gets to the point where it starts to become difficult to make a case for Glenorchy. The ball towards 50 now. Lynch, great mark. All the experience in the world. Kicking now towards Ryan, slipping through the fingers. Costly stuff. Now Clarence, can they go hard the other way? Pearce brings it under her spell. Got a problem, caught by Skinner, who's really got into the game in this quarter. So Skinner now. She's had some penetrating balls off her boot. Just kicks it towards Ryan, but overshoots it.
They just needed some serious options there.
This ball has a little too much on it out of defence for Clarence. There's a ball meant for Scott. Sullivan over the top finds Lynch. Lynch just uncorks one. Bouncing goalward. Gets the leg break and it goes straight through. That is the goal Glenorchy desperately needed. It was off 0 steps. Just slapped it on the boot. Had some power on it though, it must be said, and found its way through.
And she is the key up forward for us, for Glenorchy. And I think she's just been too far away from goal for most of the day. I'd get her in a position where she's always that leading target because she's the best overhead mark they've got.
So, remarkably, just Glenorchy's second goal for the day, given all the looks they've had inside 50. Lynch on the board. It's good goal, it must be said. The bounce did a bit of work for her as Sullivan gathers. Kicking towards Lynch. She does well to paddle it to take Turvey, who finds Daniels. So all of a sudden, Glenorchy have sprung to life. And in game 100, Nat Daniels will line up for Glenorchy's third of the afternoon, or the morning, I should say.
And interesting where Tate Turvey is here. She's just got a bit of space. Whether they look for that short option, she would be able to be run straight into an open goal here. No, she's going to take the shot.
She goes out to the left, strokes it pretty nicely, but didn't give the journey. They'll come away now, Clarence, and Scott will take the kick and it'll go over.
Tate Turvey just needed to let her know she was there. She was going to run into an open goal.
The ball to be thrown in, forward 50. Here it comes, Lynch takes it on her own, puts it on the boot, outside of the boot, looking for Ryan, keeps it alive. Daniels couldn't quite. Right end of the ground for the Magpies though.
It's all about doing the simple things right now for the Pies.
So 2-7-19, 6-2-38. Glenorchy need at least one more in the quarter, you sense. It's Lynch again in the ruck, couldn't pick it up. There's Bresnahan, sees it away, he'll look for Grace Mitchell. He takes a good grab. It's the quality of Bresnahan on show. Mitchell goes in board, it's been their modus operandi today. The ruse, it doesn't pay off. Sullivan a little pokey ball. Finds Williams, inside forward 50 now. Daniels did really well on her opponent, Archer. Just read it better than her, got good position and took a good grab. And we'll have her second look inside in a couple of minutes.
Well, it's been an interesting couple of minutes for Glenorchy here. They're putting themselves in the game. They are going to be kicking against the breeze in the last quarter, but if they start feeling they can do it, maybe they can.
Nat Daniels off that silky left foot, puts it through. Game 100 gives Glenorchy a pulse in this contest. 3-7-25, Clarence 6-2-38, game on.
Yes, 13 points, it just looks, and I know it's only 7 points of difference from the halftime break, but it just means they're close enough.
Makes all the difference. I think we're set for a grandstand finish here.
Absolutely.
On the TSLW live stream, wherever you're joining us, we hope you're enjoying the coverage.
Seems a long time since Clarence had it inside 50.
They did get the first goal of this quarter and opened up a really handy buffer. What do they have now as it's Barwick in the middle to Skinner. Bearing down on her is Bresnahan, crunching tackle. So a couple of real prime movers in the TSLW go to work there as Loams and Sullivan again. Sullivan wins it. Oates trying to paddle to herself. Wrestling for the footy. Good tackle from Oates. Sees it locked in. So a 13-point lead has this one delicately poised. Sullivan again, she's dominated the ruck. Paddled towards Allen, who couldn't gather. And Skinner wrestles Oates for the ball. Going up again. Loams wins this hit out. Out in front, looking for Scott. Pearce is there as well. Scott eventually gathers, dive into her back. Did Barwick, and it means a Scott ball. So Scott doesn't have a heap on, manages to just get her kick away. Barwick let Williams to the ball. This kick came back, but Bresnahan cut it off, just slapped it on the boot. Nothing pretty about it, but gets good distance. Mitchell did really well, but the siren beats her. And the siren draws a close to a fascinating third term. The score is 3-7-25 Glenorchy, 6-2-38 Clarence. Glenorchy had the wind in that quarter, and we are set up for a humdinger of a finish, Leigh Elder.
We certainly are, and the wind is picking up too, so it is going to make an impact on this game. But Glenorchy 10 scoring shots to 8, but they are behind all because Clarence have taken their opportunity and Glenorchy haven't taken theirs. But there's no doubt the last 5 to 10 minutes of that quarter was all about Glenorchy's pressure. It had lifted. Now, the situation is going into the last quarter and the grand final positions on the line is one's going to feel like they're still in the game and the other one's going to feel like we've got to hold on here. And if that's the attitude, we're going to have one team that feels under pressure all the time. And right now, because of the game situation, it's actually going to be Clarence, the one under pressure. But because they've got the breeze, and if they get an early score on the board, they can wrap this up quickly. But if Glenorchy get the first score on the board, I can just feel like they're going to build a run on.
It certainly seems that way. We'll have a brief break from commentaries. We play some of the highlights from that third term. Stay with us. Big last quarter coming up. Nat Daniels off that silky left foot, puts it through. Game 100 gives Glenorchy a pulse in this contest. 3-7-25, Clarence 6-2. So back for the last quarter, and we feel like we're all set up for a grandstand finish. Glenorchy 3-7-25. 13 points adrift of Clarence 6-38, who have been ruthless inside 50, whereas the Magpies have been quite wasteful, which sets this one up for, as I said, a grandstand finish, Leigh.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the move to have Skinner permanently in the midfield's been a big part of that. She had a very impressive third quarter. The challenge is going to be that bruise and how much it impacts the game. It seemed to in the third quarter. If it does feel like it's settled down a little bit as we speak, but that can change very quickly. But I think this is just set up to be an absolute ripper. And if Glenorchy aren't full of desperation now, they never will be. I think they're going to have a fair crack at this.
So Clarence looking to hold on to a 13-point lead. The Magpies trying to close them down in the last quarter. Here we go. Umpire throws it up to start the last term as Sullivan wins the hit out. He's helped out of there by Proc Peace. Didn't go too far. Gathering is Skinner. Done well once she's moved into midfield. Kicking out in front of Barwick. Slapped away by Archer. Clever stuff. Now lets in Williams. Williams gets by one. A little goose step. Kicking towards 50 now. The target is Mitchell over her head. She claims her opponent in a tackle. Corrie gathered in a tackle from Wise. They sweep it out there. Not for long. It just skittled past Westland. She'll wrap them up and keep it locked inside forward 50. First score is crucial here.
Oh, wouldn't that be feeling good at the Clarence bench, landed inside 50 at the start?
Just got to lock it in there if you're Clarence. There's Alome's in the ruck now with Sullivan, who's done a really good job. Barwick helps it out of there. A bouncing ball. It's all Clarence here. She'll be able to work it out. He was looking for Bresnahan. In the end, just poking centrally. Wise almost took a really good mark. Coming the other way with Smith. Kicking long out onto a wing. Take Turvey and Bresnahan. Bresnahan just deals with her. Bresnahan now looking towards Pearce. Pearce will gather just inside the boundary. Couldn't keep it alive. Ran out of tarmac. Again, the quality of Bresnahan on show.
When she's not looking for the easy ones.
They call her Flash. I'm a massive fan of the nickname as the ball comes in. Should be reserved for Aaron Davey. It's almost through Barwick. She's caught. Proc Peace slaps it on the boot. Deep looking in the direction of Garlow. Did well. She was caught behind. Somehow won the footy. Got it to a teammate. It was Williams and she finished off. Clarence are on their way.
Well, that wasn't the breeze. That's just the pressure at the start. It looked like when Skinner had that first clearance that Glenorchy were going to be on, but since that point, the next 2 minutes have been all Clarence with their pressure, especially deep forward, and you're right, Flash, or Bresnahan, should we say, really looked to kick that deep, and that's created those opportunities. So 2 inside 50s to 0 in the last quarter. That's what gets you in the grand finals.
It's really funny. We'll get onto it in a second as Skinner looks to extract it out of the middle. Umpire kind to her. She had a lot of time. Goes back in and wins it to Barwick. Now with Skinner again. Proc Peace sees it away from her. Gathered by Stanford off from Barwick. Kicking towards Daniels. Won't get to her. It was slapped down and will get to her. Hands it out. Here we go. Gemma Allen. Flying shot on goal. Will be a behind. I was going to say, it's funny entering today's contest. We were talking about how the forward line had functioned for Clarence. And it's functioned.
Where are they going to get the goals?
It's functioned so well. Made us look like a couple of turkeys, which is probably accurate as Bresnahan kicks short. And they're good players. Have stood up, it must be said, as Archer. Oh, that's an unnerving kick. Alliston almost will gather. Scott comes in, applies good pressure, but then tackles Barwick without it, so she'll get a free kick.
I will say that's the impressive thing today for Clarence, is that physical pressure all day.
Barwick in ball, really good mark taken by Tate Turvey. She was led to the football, but just great body position on Hardner. And the others overshot it. She hung back and took a really important grab, and it's really vital now for the Magpies. that she finishes off.
This is a must kick. Simple as.
No question. Tank Turvey, one of the great names.
Good class too. She is a good kick.
Comes on in. It's been hard going from this end of the ground. Stabs at it. Just short of goal, and Lynch puts the vices to the footy and takes a grab.
And that's where she needs to be, close to goal.
Wastes no time, all the experience in the world. Nieta Lynch tries to fire up this Glenorchy side, finishes off, cancels out that earlier goal from Jessie Williams.
Yep, they're still in it and still enough time. We're talking about 13 minutes of play and they just need another 2 goals and we're smack even. So it could be an absolute cliffhanger right at the end of this game.
So Glenorchy's 4th for the day there, first of the last. Cuts the margin to 12 points. 2 straight kicks, the difference. Up it goes again. Sullivan, she's dominated the hit-outs. Gets it down to Barwick, out of the middle, Glenorchy surge. Archer leading her opponent Daniels to the footy in a really, really telling grab. Oh, she was looking for Bresnahan, didn't get to her, sold the kick short. Take Turvey now. Kicking for Williams, Jade Williams. Screws a kick back, it's all Clarence. It should be Hardner's mark, and it is. So Hardner across for Scott. She's got space to work in, Scott. She'll get away. Kicking out onto a wing. Good kick from Alan Westland. This one will bounce along and be cut off and come back via Perry King, but her kick is not good at all. Into the arms of Scott. Scott, a little one for the outside runner. They can just take the wing here, really, Clarence. Pokey one over the top. Wise as the tug. Great grab. Fantastic footy. Darn good footballer, Mel Wise. Kicking now deep in the direction of Garlow. Doesn't quite gather. The gathering was Pearce. Pretty sure it was Pearce who slapped it on the boot. It was. Put it through the middle. And again, gets that handy buffer for the Roos. They're just looking to go deep with their entries, apply pressure, and then gather and kick goals from the fall of the ball, and it has worked.
It certainly has, and goal scoring really opening up in the last quarter, which is a bit of surprise. I actually thought it was going to really close down and be a physical struggle, but both teams are taking the game on. One wants to secure the win as soon as possible, and the other one's trying to get back in the game, which is making really good footy.
So Pearce's 2nd of the day. Extends the advantage again. Swinging kick in board from Skinner. Seemed to just hold up in the breeze just perfectly for Ryan.
She's got to look at Lynch.
She's looking to Daniels. Daniels just deals with her opponent magnificently well, and she'll line up for her 2nd. They call her Silk.
Yeah, she should kick this.
Nice peg on it, doesn't she? She lines on up. Nat Daniels. So again, spring life into this Glenorchy fight back, and she does the job. Nat Daniels, 2nd of the day, and this game won't die.
It certainly won't, and they've actually found out where the big stick, the space in between the 2 big sticks are, and starting to kick straight, Glenorchy, and we're looking at 13 scoring shots to 10. But it's only 2 kicks away and the score's a level. This is a very interesting quarter of footy and great to watch at the moment.
So cut back again to 2 straight kicks. Now will Clarence answer? Seesawing contest. Sullivan down to Barwick. We've seen that a lot. Kick inside forward 50. Alliston almost. Gathering was Lynch. She's caught. Handball sprayed out. Gathered by Allen. She gets it to a teammate in Elise Barwick. Gathers eventually. Gets it back to Skinner. Caught in a tackle by Scott. And rewarded is Scott. Crucial tackle for the Roos.
Absolutely. I'd just like to see a little bit of pace injected into the Glenorchy forward line just to have that really defensive pressure on and create opportunities.
Scott finds Bresnahan, who milks a bit of time, kicks long. Look at it pick up in the breeze. It'll be gathered here by Loams. Did really well. Kicks out the back. There should be a Mitchell goal. Mitchell. Streaming towards goal. Grace Mitchell back out to 3 goals. Clarence answer again.
What an incredible quarter of footy. They are both just going it. Don't you wish you could convince the coaches this is how we want to play footy all the time? It's a remarkable quarter of footy.
It's been outstanding. Grace Mitchell read that so well, and you've got to say, amazing work from Alomes. Just powered it over the top. Grace Mitchell with toe, burnt off Searley. Open goal, her second of the day. And again, Clarence have all the answers.
They certainly do.
No one saw this coming. Alomes down. Looking to gather. There was Harper. Distracted from Glenorchy. Terrific grab from Lynch. Swings around. Bouncing ball towards Ryan. Will go past her. It'll end in Daniels. Daniels off the left. Just tugs it wide. A minor score. So 17 points from full back. Clarence move it. Archer looking towards Garlow. She tries to paddle it down. Gathering was Tate Turvey. Farms out a handball. Coming in as Skinner. Oh, she collided with Oates, and Oates came out with a footy. Holds up in the breeze. It's gathered by Sullivan. Out for Corrie. The spin is stylish. Over the top for Tate Turvey. Couldn't gather. Coming in is Jessie Williams. Jessie Williams away now. Long raking boot is magnificent through the fingers of Mitchell. Able to bob up. Snapped her opponent's ankles. Goes long. The kick towards Pearce. Pearce will bound on in. Pearce on the outside of the boot has miscued the kick horribly. Out on the full.
And that definitely would have been the sealer there. There was no way home for Glenorchy if she kicked that one.
So Pearce misses a big opportunity to call game. So from full back, Searley will steal it towards Barwick. Williams tried to gather. Out there is Scott diving on the footy. She's wrapped up. Umpire says, give it to me. So the game remains alive. But it's only a flickering light now for Glenorchy. Got to be efficient with the footy. It's up again. Sullivan down. Scott squeezes out a kick. Oh, almost for Mitchell. You could see her eyes lighting up. It's gathered there. Good tackle, and that'll be rewarded. It's going to be a Clarence ball. And they'll line up.
Oh, it's Jess Menifee, is it?
Jess Menifee couldn't quite pick out the number on her back as it goes deep inside forward 50. Tries a miraculous goal. Gets it behind. That's handy anyway. So
they need 4 scoring shots, Glenorchy, or 3 in extra time.
Time becomes the enemy now. So Corrie from full back, she tried to bounce with a kick in a little earlier, which didn't work. I'm happy she's binned that. Goes to Searley. Searley looking in the direction of Williams, finds Bresnahan of the opposition, shakes one way, a little jink, inboard, Wise, what a mark! She has somehow taken a catch there, as we see on the replay screen. Got good position, it looked like it was going to get out of her reach, but she took the grab, and now she can call game if she can somehow power this one home.
Good leads too from Clarence, creating options for her. But she's just got to take that 30 seconds.
So Mel Wise, kick from 45 metres out. Starts it right, stays right, out on the full. So again, Glenorchy, the light flickering, but the light's still on. If they can move it quickly from end to end. Sarah Skinner.
They've got to be bold now.
Hemmed in the back pocket. It was all Clarence. Bresnahan slipped through her fingers. Here's Lynch. Just shook off the would-be tackle with ease. Kicking long. Now Tate Turvey's the target. She has Archer to contend with. Tate Turvey does well. Gathers and burns away. Daniels caught behind. The kick was shallow.
Yeah, it's just the choice of the kick. She tried to spot her up. She probably needed to kick it over the back.
So kick here looking for Bresnahan. She wasn't too happy because she was made to look like a step ladder. Leanna Lynch just ironed out her opponent. That looked nasty, I've got to say, as Skinner kicks long, almost from Bresnahan. She couldn't gather. Sockering in there was Proc Piece. It's just helped out further, but here's Skinner. The opponent is Johnson. She's eventually got to her feet and moving okay. This kick's magnificent for Daniels. So Daniels from the paint of 50. They can't waste time. Kicking long to Barwick. Look at the pace of Barwick. Just hit it too hard. Barwick gathers again, spills out of her hands. Oh, found a free.
That's why you need pace in that forward line. Provide your opportunities.
So at least Barwick will get a free kick. Needs to do this very quickly.
She needs to run around on the mark here too.
Tight angle, at least Barwick will have to play on, spin around. Clarence need to be wise to this. Barwick, one step, jeepers. Doesn't get the journey. And that is an absolutely massive missed opportunity. Elliston now, guys it to Williams. She's crunched in a tackle. She's a bit sore from that one, I reckon, Williams. There's some fierce tackles in this quarter. Hot footy to win. It goes up again. One by Sullivan. Gets it out to take Turvey. Kicks towards the forward pocket. No one there to gather. Be brought in again. Time well and truly the enemy now.
And it's just the missed opportunities for the Pies. That's what it's been boiled down to, especially in the first half.
Comes in again. Lynch takes it straight out of the ruck, but had no time to do anything with it. Slaps it down. At the back, Barwick caught the tackle. Good tackle from Pearce. I'm getting closer to just about saying this one's out of reach for Glenorchy.
Yeah, they need to kick one, and now.
Kick comes away, and there is the kick. Rattenbury just short of her. Bustling in was Proc Piece. It was Archer that went down to get it, and then Bresnahan says, give it to me, I'll deal with this. Kicks it long out onto the wing, but straight into Glenorchy arms. Stanford off for Skinner. Skinner for Corrie. Corrie goes back. She just needed to go.
Yep,
drops it off for Skinner. Skinner goes. Kicking towards Daniels. Daniels flying from 3 deep. Took the footy. Here is Garlow. She's collided with, got the ball out. She was absolutely slammed into by Sullivan. Looks in trouble, Garlow, as play continues to unfold. I'll take it out of there via Oates. Bresnahan. No, not Bresnahan, rather. It was Harper. Tried to gather. Just have a look at Nettie Garlow. See the replay. Came on through. Sullivan. She might have a case to answer there.
Strong collision. They've asked for the stretcher.
She may have a case to answer there. Gone in. Heavy challenge, and Garlow not looking good. And also, what's not looking good for Glenorchy is the clock. It continues to tick. Just about spells an end to the contest, you got to say, Leigh Elder.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way Clarence have just been so good in front of goal. I'd love to know the inside 50 data, but I reckon Glenorchy have more inside 50s than Clarence today. But just their pressure and the way they've used the football inside 50 has been quite remarkable. And of course, we talked a few times about how well and how deep their opportunities come from, and that's been really the deciding factor. Glenorchy have been taking shots from a fair distance out, some at pretty poor angles, but Clarence have always found that opportunity to get within 15 to 20 metres of goal, sometimes right inside the goal square, and take their shots from there. And if you do that, you're going to score more goals than points, and that's been the difference today. So we're talking 14 scoring shots to 12, and that total has just given the the opportunity, well, the goals that they've scored and where they've scored them from has given the opportunity to be in control pretty much since quarter time.
They'll be hoping Nettie Gallo's okay because they're grand final bound, and as strange as it sounds, given that she hasn't had a lot of disposals, but her tackling pressure has actually been such a massive factor for Clarence inside 50.
And the size of this ground, they're the type of players you want that's light and quick, can run long distances and can put that tackle pressure on, so run down opponents. So she's a very important player to it. Obviously, we're obviously thinking here that there might be a bit of concussion involved. So we'll just have to wait to see how she's feeling after the game.
As we roll some of the highlights of this quarter, it's a magnificent finish to a game. This quarter has been, unfortunately, Nettie Garlow's game ends here as she finds her way off on the stretcher. The game will resume and there's not long left because the 18 minutes that are usually afforded are up. So I'm not 100% sure with the protocols in the last quarter when there is an injury with the 18 minutes. It might change.
I think we saw it with the second quarter when Mackie Sutcliffe went off. There was a couple of minutes of extra time. So
yeah.
I think from when the stretcher comes on, I could be incorrect, but that's what it seemed like.
So Nettie Garlow makes her way off. I hope she's okay. She's played a magnificent game and really impressed with her tackle pressure. Sullivan caught a large piece of it there. So in it goes again. Sullivan doing the ruck work down for Barwick. Barwick couldn't gather. Almost there for Williams. In the end, she does gather. Kicks it out in front of Pearce. Pearce now fists it on. Webberley out there. Pearce bustles in. Looks to win the footy. Couldn't quite gather. Nicely done there by Minifee. Gets it back for Oates. This way, that away. Shake off a couple. Drops it off for Minifee again. Caught. Back for Oates. She'll gather and look to put him inside 50. It was cut off. She kicked it straight to Skinner. Skinner to take Turvey now. In the middle. Can't waste time. The siren sounds. Clarence are through to a grand final. Big time win for the Roos. 9-3-57. They were underdogs coming in today and they did the job in style. Lead Elder. 9-3-57, as I said. Glenorchy Wasteful 5-9-39.
Yeah, impressive win by Clarence, and certainly wasn't expecting that at the beginning of today. Unfortunately, we've seen two players come off with the stretcher, so we wish them all the best, but certainly Clarence will be happy little campers that they're going through to the grand final. It'll be interesting to see what Launceston's thoughts will be on their opponent, because I think most would have assumed it was going to be Glenorchy. But you've got to keep your plans open for your opposition. I think the difference with Clarence's opponent is a couple of really elite talent. Jessie Williams certainly looked dangerous, but the best on ground, and this is twice in two finals, so I would say she's the player of the final series so far, is Mel Wise.
Well, it's the same players that did the job for them last time out. Nicole Bresnahan, terrific again as well. I like the game of Grace Mitchell. I thought she was very, very sharp inside forward 50. It was that sort of leg speed and the forward pressure that made Clarence's forward 50 so dangerous. Nat Pearce probably should have had 3. She was terrific. They just did the job, Clarence. Ruthlessly efficient inside forward 50. We've talked about their pressure a lot, but it was something to behold. They couldn't get the job done over Glenorchy in the regular season, but they've done it when it's really mattered. And they're through to a grand final. They've taken the long road, but they're going to play in the big dance next week.
Absolutely, and play where they know as well. So that's the added bonus for them as well. I think the interesting part of this is watching the last quarter of Launceston and Glenorchy last week. You would have said Glenorchy may go into a grand final with a fair bit of confidence, but of course they'll be concentrating on Mad Monday instead of planning for their grand final. But congratulations to Clarence, a wonderful display today. And Mel Wise, Bresnahan were both absolutely fantastic, and they had quite a few players that just ensured that there was pressure all the time. So congratulations to Andy Smith and his team of support staff, and of course all the players. They'll be very excited they get through to a grand final.
Looks like there's going to be a bit of a guard of honour here. Just see what we can capture on the pictures, and looks like it might be Nat Daniels coming off game 100. Wouldn't have been the game 100 she desired. So,
and of course she's played for both clubs.
I was about to say that, Leigh played for both clubs. Just going to walk her way off. So Nat Daniels game 100 unfortunately didn't end with a win.
Premiership play with both clubs.
And she walks her way off into the sheds. So as we said before, Clarence through to the grand final. They were underdogs today. They didn't play like that. They were fantastic. Had a big lead, opened up in the second term. And from there, didn't really look like being headed, had all the answers and came up trumps to book the date with Launceston next weekend. We'll be back with that Wrest Point TSLW Grand Final next week on the live stream. We'll also be back later on today with the TSL preliminary final. Lauderdale up against Launceston. Head to TSL Facebook, AFL Taz YouTube for all the action. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage here from Blundstone Arena. Bye for now.